morning, everybody. I'm Vincy Michael from beautiful Spotless Skin team. I'm sure all of you must be keeping good health. To look beautiful and smart at all times is quest for humans, right from the beginning of civilization. You all know proper skin protection is the best thing you can do for the health of your skin today and slow down the effects of aging tomorrow. In today's era, changing weather with excessive heat or humidity increase risk of damage due to UV rays, which makes skin more prone to wrinkles, melasma, and skin cancer. We know that sunscreen is valuable from a skin cancer and sun damage perspective well as something that helps prevent fine lines and wrinkles. According to the survey, 67% of people in India are not using sunscreen as daily skincare routine. Several things about sunscreen that we people are not aware, and that makes us to not including sunscreen as an integral part of skincare routine. So, to keep you informed, today we are here to know about sunscreen in skincare regimen. So, let's connect today with our skin expert, Dr. Priyanka Karagaiah from Bangalore. Dr. Priyanka is a renowned dermatologist with years of hands on experience and a vast portfolio of clinical research. She completed her MD in dermatology, mineralogy, and leprosy from the prestigious Bangalore Medical College and Research Institute. Additionally, she holds a diplomate of National Board and a specialty certificate from the Royal College of Physicians in the United Kingdom. Dr. Priyanka's expertise and accolades from renowned institutes in India and UK make her a trusted name in the field of dermatology. Dr. Priyanka has published several research articles in various dermatological fields. She has published articles on the use of platelet rich plasma and stem cells in dermatology. Overall, her research contributes to the advancement of dermatological treatments and technologies. Today, with her vast expertise in the field of dermatology, Dr. Priyanka will enlighten us on sunscreen, an integral part in treatment of melasma and hyperpigmentation. Hello, doctor.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Thank you, doctor. Doctor, can I just go on with the questions?
Yeah, definitely. Let's begin.
Thank you, doctor. Why should we wear sunscreen every day?
So, sunscreen is something which protects the skin from the daily damage. So, it is how you eat food. Your skin also needs something to keep it revived. And sun exposure can cause a lot of damage to your skin over the years. It accumulates, it causes something called as reactive oxygen species that can damage your skin. So you have premature aging, you have fine lines, and you have pigmentation problems, and you have acne problems, which everything can worsen. And sunscreen is more of a preventive measure where you start using it every day, and the cumulative damage caused by sun exposure is reduced. And also, you age more gracefully than premature aging. You must have noticed people from the hilly areas who age very quickly after they turn 35 or 40, who look very old because they start developing a lot of sun damage because of high UV rays in those areas. So that's why sunscreen is very essential for everybody.
Thank you, doctor. The second question is, what does SPF level mean? Why should we know about it while choosing a sunscreen?
SPF stands for sun protection factor. So what it means is the amount of time it takes for the sun exposure to burn your skin or cause redness had you applied sunscreen. Like let's say it takes around 10 minutes for you to become red if you stand in sun for some time. So with sunscreen with SPF 30 it becomes 300 minutes. That means it is protecting your skin 30 times for 30 times longer. If it is SPF 50, it means that you can stand in the sun for 500 minutes without getting the redness on the burns. So this is mostly valid for only UVB rays. So SPF, that's what it indicates, SPF. So, but it does not indicate the amount of protection it gives. SPF 30 and 50, there's not much difference. SPF 30 gives a protection of 97% from UV rays, and SPF 50 gives protection from 98% of UV rays. But it's mostly the time duration for which it protects and also indicates how often you need to reapply the sunscreen. So higher the SPF, less often. Like you still have to apply twice or thrice daily, and that one time is depending on your SPF factor.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. My next question
Okay.
is, how much quantity of sunscreen need to apply? How often, like reapply? Like how often should we reapply?
So, as per studies, and there's a lot of quantification that has happened, and people usually say 1 teaspoonful for your face and neck because those are the most exposed areas. So, when we do that, when we can't, nobody can do that math every day. You can't take a teaspoonful and then do it. So, to simplify it, we tell the patients to apply two fingertips, two fingerfuls. So I'm just using my own fingers. I've applied sunscreen here. So if you can just see, it is like two fingers, like you just draw it across your fingers. So this much is required for your face, neck, and also cover your décolletage and your ear areas. So obviously for hands and legs, it is much higher. So if you're using for your hands and legs, for your entire arms, like both arms, it will be 3 teaspoonfuls, so triple this quantity. And for your entire legs, it is 6 teaspoonfuls. So you have to take 6 times if you're covering your entire legs, and so on. So that is the minimum quantity. Since most of you focus on your face and neck, this is required for face and neck.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much. The next question is, how is the effectiveness of sunscreens measured?
Sorry.
How is the effectiveness of sunscreen measured?
Effectiveness of sunscreen is measured by various parameters. Like I said, SPF, that is measured for UVB rays. And if you want to know how it is measured for UVA rays, it is PA factor. So anything which has a 2 plus or 3 plus or more gives good protection against UVA rays. And UVA rays are the ones that tan you faster. Okay, so that is one thing, and this is for sunscreen. So you have to look for UVB, that is SPF, UVA, that is PA plus, and the other thing that you have to look for is water resistance. So either water resistance means it can you can swim with a thick layer of sunscreen for 40 minutes, and it can hold on to its effectiveness for 40 minutes. Okay, so super water resistance means 80 minutes. So these are the three things that you have to see, and depending on what your activity is like today. Let's say you are on a general, it's any other normal day for you. So that day you can just use a SPF 30 with a water resistant. If you are going for a swimming activity or anything like that, then you need to use a super water resistant sunscreen with higher SPF.
Superman, thank you.
Okay.
My next question is, how to choose the best sunscreen for individuals? What are the types of sunscreen?
So we have two types basically, physical and chemical sunscreen. So the way they work is physical sunscreen reflects most of the sun rays, and chemical sunscreen in fact absorbs a part of it, converts it into chemical energy, and then it is dissipated in the skin, so it is not harmful to the skin. So that's how a chemical sunscreen acts. So in that case, what we have to do is uh, take something which has both. So you're getting the best of both worlds. And so anything that is missed out by physical sunscreen, a part of it is still absorbed, right? So anything that is missed out can be taken care of by the chemical sunscreen and vice versa.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any different sunscreen for acne patients, ma'am?
Definitely, for if you are somebody who's prone to acne, the older sunscreens were pretty oily. So that would it would clog your pores and it would worsen your acne. So if you have acne prone skin, better to go for gel based sunscreens or silicone based sunscreen, where they're not too oily, give you a matte texture and also prevent the clogging of the pores.
Thank you, ma'am. My other question is like, is there any different for this best for children and infants, ma'am? Like when you're using it on kids, especially.
In general, kids have sensitive skin, and the chemical sunscreen can cause burning. And if they have atopy or any other things like that, it can cause a little bit of discomfort. So, physical sunscreens are the safest, which can be used in kids. Any kid above the age of 6 months, you can use sunscreen, and I would suggest to go for a physical sunscreen, preferably. And it is not necessary that they have to use it every day. Uh, if they are having outdoor activities, or if they're going swimming, or if you know there's going to be a significant amount of sun exposure, then you can use sunscreen in children, though it is not mandatory every day, because with age your skin also starts to age faster. But in children, the healing is much faster in children, so they do not require every day. But if required, I would suggest physical sunscreen.
Thank you, ma'am. My next question is like, which is a better formulation of sunscreen, ma'am? Like maybe spray, cream, gel, or lotion, and how to choose a suitable skin for individual skin? It's depend on the skin type, no, ma'am. Like just
Yeah, yeah. See, I would never suggest spray because it always leaves pockets of emptiness where the spray does not sit, and you do not know where it is. But when you're using a cream, lotion, or any other formulation, you know that you have evenly spread in these areas. The same cannot be said about the spray. And there's always a spillage on your clothes and hair and all, which is not which is not very friendly to use. Coming to cream or a gel, if you are somebody who has dry skin and you don't have acne, then a cream formulation would suit you better because it keeps the moisture and it helps your skin keep hydrated. But if you're somebody who has an acne prone skin, go for a gel based sunscreen or a matte sunscreen that will not clog your pores. And as far as lotions are concerned, limit lotions to hands, legs, and other hair bearing areas like your chest or back in men because the spreadability is better with the lotion formulation.
all right. Now we have one question from the audience view.
Yes.
That's like, what are the some major body parts that are often missed when we are using sunscreen? Please do tell that, ma'am.
So most often we miss the ear area and also the neck, the sides of the neck and behind the neck, and these are also quite commonly exposed to sun. So these are the things that you have to include. The other area would be your dorsum of the hand, like the back of the hand. So even when you're wearing full sleeves, like most of them wear, the men wear shirt, but this part is always neglected and always first affected, especially if you're driving or if you're riding. Even when you're driving in the driver's seat in the morning, this is the part when you're holding this and the outer part of your arms. These are the portions which get most exposed, and most of us forget to apply sunscreen. So this is what I would suggest. Don't forget your neck, ears, and your arms.
Thank you, ma'am. Like, we have another question. Like, why not just cover up with clothing? As you said, nowadays we have hand gloves and all. So why don't we just wear that? And please elaborate. Like, why can't we hide it then with the clothing than the sunscreen?
So, would you be very comfortable always covering your face with a cloth when you go out? No, right? It's you want to. It's also about practicality. Obviously, nobody would put a sunscreen all over their chest or back on a normal day unless you're having a beach vacation where you know you're going to be exposed, or the entire part of the legs where you don't get exposed every day. So it's usually the face, and some people, yes, do who are very concerned, they put on the hands, and otherwise there are some areas which you can not avoid invariably. So those are the areas that need sunscreen. The other thing is, even in clothing, there's something called as UPF, ultraviolet protection factor, which may not be sufficient for some type of clothing, like a linen clothing or a transparent clothing, where if the rays can pass, then that means the UV rays can still affect you. Okay, and only in densely woven cloth like denims or woolen or thick cotton or nylon, where you get good amount of protection from the clothing. That's why, like, wherever required, use sunscreen. Wherever not necessary, you don't have to.
Thank you, ma'am. There's one more viewer has asked a question. Can people with darker skin use skip SPF? Or as I have darker skin, she has got a darker skin, I guess. She's asking, can I skip an SPF?
So in darker skin, your melanin is your protection. Whenever your sun is whenever you're getting exposed to sun, you're also developing more melanin. So one thing in darker skin is you tan faster because your melanin content is already high. So some people, the fairer skin people, only become red. They don't have that much melanin. So they become red, their skin tends to burn faster. But in darker skin people, you tend to tan faster. So in that case, if that is your ideal, yes, definitely sunscreen will help. The other thing is, it's not just about tanning. The most important reason why we suggest is to avoid premature aging changes. So this can happen in any skin regardless of your skin color, whether you're fair or you're dark. The oxidative damage due to sun exposure and the UV rays is going to happen in all skin of colors. Okay, so it becomes necessary whether you're dark or light, you still have to use sunscreen so you can maintain the youthful look for quite some time.
All right. Normally, many of the people have an thinking that like the sunscreen should be used only in summer times or afternoon times when it's really hot.
Yeah.
Is that true, ma'am?
Not really. See, like let's take a place like Bangalore where we stay. Most of the year it is cloudy, but that does not mean UV rays are not entering. UV rays are in fact higher because of the altitude here. So you still have to use sunscreen. Even the UV rays can penetrate the clouds also, and these are the ones causing the damage. It is not the heat from the sun. So heat from the sun is basically the infrared rays, which makes you feel hot and burning and So it is not that causes majority of your oxidative changes or damage. It is the UV rays which you cannot which you don't really feel as heat, and it can pass through even clouds. So it doesn't matter which duration of the year it is or what kind of weather it is. I would still advise everyone to wear it on a regular basis. Like how you eat, sleep, breathe, you just start applying it on a daily basis.
Get used to it. Okay, ma'am. My last question is like, what else should we know about sunscreen, and what else can we do to protect ourselves from the sun?
So there are few things to know is like what your sunscreen contains, because there are a lot of brands these days, uh, like uh, Lotus or Biotic, where they market themselves to be sunscreen or organic sunscreen, but there are no sunscreen filters. So one thing that you need to know is what are the sunscreen filters, what are the physical filters, what are the chemical filters. This is available everywhere on the net. So be aware a little bit about the filters that are used in sunscreen, and also be aware of whether you have a sensitive skin or whether you have a normal skin. If you have a sensitive skin, better to always go for the physical sunscreen and avoid chemical sunscreens altogether. So these are the few things. And while also selecting your sunscreen, first think about what skin goals are you wanting to achieve. Is this sunscreen for like a beach vacation where you have to apply all over the body? Then go for a lotion. Go for something higher SPF. Go for water resistant. If it is for a daily use and you have a particular skin type, then you go for a gel based or a matte based for acne prone skin. Go for a cream based for dry sensitive skin. So these are the things. So always, it's not very difficult to figure out. So there's something is SPF factor, PA factor, and your water resistance. See these three things, and see the formulation for your skin type, and depending on what it is being used for. If it's for daily use, you have a different sunscreen. If it's for something like an outdoor vacation, use a lotion formulation, which is easier to apply on other parts of the body. So these are the few things.
Since you answered for a few of our viewers like Vandana and Faria, you just answered them. There's one more viewer has joined us. Her name is
Okay.
Deshu Desai, and she's asked like, how much sunscreen should I use, and how often should I apply it? I think she joined lately. She didn't know that.
Yeah, so I had already told. So it is 2 finger length for your face and neck, and that is almost equivalent to 1 teaspoonful. And if it's for your hands, it is 3 teaspoonful. That is thrice this amount. And if it's for your legs, it is teaspoonful. That means 6 times this amount. So, and you have to repeat it at least once. I would suggest a minimum once after 3 to 4 hours. If higher SPF, once is definitely required. If it is SPF 30 or less than 30, 2 to 3 times a day, like after every 3 hours. Let's say 9 a.m., 12 p.m., and then again at 3 or 4 p.m. So this would be the schedule for your sunscreen application.
Thank you, ma'am. And there's one more question from the viewer side. A lot of companies promote chemical sunscreens, which is good.
Yes.
As
So it depends on the filter. Always go for something which has a broad spectrum. There are chemical filters like octocrylene, avobenzone, which are broad spectrum sunscreens. So go for something which says it is a broad spectrum sunscreen. So chemical sunscreen, and ideally go for something which has a mix of both, because you need both sort of protection to achieve that maximum results.
there's one viewer, his name is Rahul Bastwar, and he has asked, what does broad spectrum sunscreen protect against? Any particular
Broad spectrum involves UVA protection and UVB protection, so both. So you have to see the SPF factor, and there'll also be a PA factor. So one thing is UVA causes a lot of tanning, so that is protect UV. The PA filters protect against that, and UVB causes oxidative damage. So your premature aging, your pigmentation, and your burns, all these can be prevented if you use sunscreen regularly, and also tanning, of course. So yes.
there's one more viewer. Her name is Neha Sharma, and she has asked, "Can I use expired sunscreen in an emergency, or should I avoid it altogether?"
Avoid it altogether because they must be expired. they may have lost their potency by then, one thing. So it may not be sufficient, or it may not be adequate. And more than that, we always give an expiry product, because once the product undergoes oxidation, it can become irritating to your skin, and it can become toxic to your skin. So it may not be the sunscreen filters, it can be anything in that product. It can be the preservative, or it can be the lotion, the emollient added in it. So it can become toxic. So at all times, avoid expired products. And see, a month after expiry, up to that is still okay, but not beyond that.
Okay, so once it's expired, it's expired.
It's expired, yes.
There's one more question, ma'am. Like, do you advise using any serum before sunscreen application?
That depends on your skin concern, basically. So there are thousands of serum available in the market right now. So if you are somebody who has a dry skin, then a hyaluronic acid serum or a moisturizing balancing serum you can put, and then use a sunscreen. I would always suggest use a moisturizer and then the sunscreen. So that will help you, keeping your skin hydrated as well as protected from skin. And any serum has to be the first thing in your skincare list. So sunscreens go well with most serums. So just avoid retinols in the morning, and avoid any reactive serums like azelaic acid in the morning before your sunscreen. Not because it reacts with the sunscreen, mainly because it can cause irritation when you get exposed to sun with those.
All right, ma'am. There's one more viewer. He has asked a question. Her name is Tina Barker, and she has asked, how long does sunscreen typically last before it needs to be reapplied?
So again, that depends on your SPF factor. So in the studies, it is shown to last up to 3 to 4 hours. So you have to reapply every 3 hours at least. So that's the recommendation most of the times. And higher SPF up to 4 hours also. So every 4 hours you can apply. So twice a day at least.
All right, ma'am. There's one more question. Like, for those who work in IT who sit in AC
Okay.
all the time, like morning they leave the house by applying sunscreen, and is it necessary for them to continue using even if they are in the AC, or should I only when they
So
go
for
out?
IT, I would suggest for IT people, if what is even more important is blue light protection. So go for something like a tinted sunscreen, because it's not just about going out. It's also that you're exposed to the blue rays from your laptop throughout the day, not just in the morning. So for you, sunscreen is even more important. Otherwise, you can start developing these pigmentation and melasma changes very early, and also in people who are not genetically prone to it. Over the years, it can accumulate and cause a lot of pigmentation issues on your skin. So for you, it is even more important to reapply.
Those who work in IT. All right. And there's one more viewer. His name is Bipin Patel, and he has asked, what about oral sunscreen, which is good, oral or topical?
So topical is definitely the best. Oral sunscreen reduces your oxidation process. It is not really preventing the sun rays from entering your body. It is just reducing the oxidation. And to some extent, there are some like alpha lipoic acid, coenzyme Q, and astaxanthin, and a lot of antioxidant and oral sunscreens are there. But they always work well in combination with physical sunscreen. But physical sunscreen is still the winner, hands down.
All right, ma'am. There's one more question. Like, for those who have allergic, like, they'll be scared to choose. Like initially, like only if they apply, they'll know which is best for them. So first time they apply and they get infected to it, like what is their choice? Like, should they see a doctor, or they can just choose on?
So preferably, if you have some sort of allergy, that means you have some condition that is triggering it. So it's always better to see a doctor to see what exactly you have. So it may be treatable, it may be chronic. You don't know that. If it is treatable, you don't want to suffer with it for the rest of your life, knowing that it is treatable, but you didn't take actions on time. So first get it treated, and then you can always ask them to suggest a sunscreen. But if you're somebody who don't have actually have any problem, but your skin is just sensitive, then you go for physical sunscreen, any zinc based sunscreen or titanium oxide based sunscreen. So you can go for that.
There's one more viewer has joined, ma'am. Like, her question is Yash Namdev. He's asked, can sunscreen cause skin irritation or allergic reaction? Same thing is asked.
There are some sunscreens which can cause a little bit of irritation or burning, especially in the under eye areas or like in the eyes. But it is not true with everything. Every sunscreen. If one doesn't suit you, I would suggest go for something alternative. some other alternative. If nothing is suiting you, then probably you do have some other sensitivity to the sunscreens. So even in that case, always start with a zinc-based sunscreen, the physical-based sunscreen. Then they usually don't cause any kind of irritation. It is usually the chemical sunscreen component which causes some kind of irritation. So go for a sunscreen which does not have this exact same composition or formulation and try if you want to incorporate both again.
Project. And thank you. And there's one more person who asked a question. A quick Singh has asked, are there is any environmental concern with sunscreen?
Not really. There have been some reports saying, it causes distress to the marine life and all, but these have been done with these are very low quality studies, and it is done in concentrations which is not used in sunscreens. The studies which shows these kind of changes are done at a concentration which is not usually used in sunscreen and does not enter the marine life in that quantities, even with with our daily use and washing and all that. So no, it does not have any sort of environmental impact. Though there were few studies which suggested so, but they are not substantial.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much, Dr. Priyanka, for your valuable time. And it has been a very informative sessions for our viewers. And it is great to hear you. We really look forward for many such sessions for our viewers in coming time. And thank you, viewers, for participation for today's session and staying connected to our beautiful Spotless Skin page. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Doctor, once again.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Have a good day. Bye.
Have a good day. Thank you so much.